Actor Chadwick Boseman died at the age of 43 following a private 4-year battle with colon cancer.
He did all he could do with what he was given. And he left it here for us to enjoy. Chad will live forever.
When Denzel Washington opened up about Chadwick Boseman's death, calling it a heartbreak moment, the world stopped to listen. Boseman's passing in August 2020 shook fans and those who had quietly supported him, including Denzel, who once paid for Chadwick's acting studies.
Because I paid for him to go to school? How did that come about? I didn't know him. Felicia Richard was helping kids, and she called different people, and she called me, and I said, yeah, I'll sponsor wherever.
From his rise as Black Panther to the secrecy of his illness and the controversy of his Oscar loss, Boseman's journey remains one of Hollywood's most emotional stories.
Chadwick's legacy is almost too big to fully comprehend yet.
The way he handled his life and managing cancer with such humility and grace and dignity lets us all know that he truly was a superhero.
Tonight, we uncover his rise, hidden fight, and lasting legacy. Chadwick Aaron Boseman was born on November 29, 1976, in Anderson, South Carolina. He grew up in a working-class family. His mother, Carolyn, was a nurse, and his father, Leroy, worked in textile factories. From a young age, Chadwick showed interest in the arts. In high school, he wrote his first play, inspired by the tragic death of a classmate. That early spark of creativity pushed him toward a life in acting and storytelling.
But Chad was different. Chad was into debate. Chad was into theater. And he had the visions of being able to go to college to get into theater.
After graduating from Howard University in Washington, D.C., Boseman studied under influential teachers, including actress Felicia Richard, who became a mentor. At Howard, he developed a reputation as both a serious actor and a thoughtful writer. He was later accepted into a summer program at the British American Drama Academy in Oxford, England, an experience that would forever tie his destiny to Denzel Washington, though Chadwick didn't know it at the time.
Felicia Richard was helping kids, and she called different people, and she called me.
Boseman's early career wasn't easy. He took guest roles on TV shows like Law and Order and CSI New York, but Hollywood was slow to open its doors.
They put up their own money. I ain't picking their pockets. But you don't play fair, right? Why you messing with me? Because of a Marine we found dead in Central Park.
He nearly gave up at times, frustrated with being typecast or overlooked. But in 2013, his career changed dramatically when he was cast as baseball legend Jackie Robinson in 42. The performance was powerful, and audiences began to see Boseman as a rising star. That momentum continued. In 2014, he transformed into the godfather of soul, James Brown, in Get On Up, a role that demanded raw energy and intense dedication. 2 years later, he portrayed civil rights lawyer Thurgood Marshall in Marshall. Each of these biographical roles proved Boseman's range and seriousness as an actor. He was becoming Hollywood's go-to figure for bringing history to life on screen.
An innocent man. Just focus on this case and leave the big picture to me.
But the role that truly changed everything was T'Challa, the Black Panther. First appearing in Captain America: Civil War in 2016, Boseman brought an instant gravitas to the Marvel Universe. 2 years later, Black Panther in 2018 became a global phenomenon. It wasn't just another superhero movie, it was a cultural milestone. The film grossed over $1.3 billion worldwide and inspired millions, particularly in African and Black communities, who finally saw a hero that looked like them in the spotlight. Boseman embraced the responsibility. In interviews, he often spoke about the film's deeper meaning, saying it wasn't just entertainment, but empowerment. His portrayal of King T'Challa turned him into a household name, and he was celebrated not only as an actor, but as a symbol of strength, pride, and representation. By the late 2000s, Chadwick Boseman was more than a star. He was a legend in the making. What no one knew, however, was that behind those commanding performances, he was already fighting the battle of his life. In 2016, at the height of his rising career, Chadwick Boseman received news that would change everything. Doctors diagnosed him with stage 3 colon cancer. For many people, that kind of diagnosis becomes public quickly. But Chadwick made a very different decision. He kept it almost entirely private. Only a handful of family members and his wife, Taylor Simone Ledward, knew the truth.
When you decided not to share what was happening, were you scared somebody was going to dig and find out that he was much iller than people thought?
Over the years, the disease progressed to stage 4, yet Chadwick never allowed it to define how people saw him. While most would have stepped away from the spotlight, he chose to keep working, delivering some of the most iconic performances of his career while undergoing chemotherapy and multiple surgeries.
The way he handled his life and managing cancer with such humility and grace and dignity lets us all know that he truly was a superhero.
Between treatments, he starred in films like Marshall in 2017, Da 5 Bloods in 2020, and his final masterpiece, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom in 2020.
Did you turn your back, motherfucker? Did you turn your back? Come on. Come on and turn your back on me.
His colleagues never suspected the severity of what he was enduring. Director Ryan Coogler, who worked closely with him on Black Panther, later admitted he had no idea Chadwick was sick. He recalled how Chadwick carried himself with dignity and energy, never once asking for sympathy. Fans only began speculating in April 2020, when Boseman appeared in a live stream, looking noticeably thinner. Social media erupted with concern, but Chadwick never addressed the questions. Some assumed he was preparing for a new role. Nobody knew it was the effect of his ongoing battle with cancer.
It's April 15th. It's Jackie Robinson Day. That's right, it's still Jackie Robinson.
On August 28, 2020, the truth came out in the most heartbreaking way. Boseman died at his Los Angeles home, surrounded by his wife and close family. He was only 43 years old. The announcement posted on his official social media pages stunned the world. It revealed that he had been fighting cancer privately for 4 years, all while making films that inspired millions. The reaction was immediate and global. Fans flooded social media with grief and admiration. His Marvel co-stars, including Michael B. Jordan, Angela Bassett, and Letitia Wright, shared emotional tributes. Kevin Feige, head of Marvel Studios, called him an immensely talented actor and an inspirational human being. Director Ryan Coogler described how Chadwick gave everything to his craft while carrying a burden no one else could see.
When we lost him, it only made sense to try to follow in his footsteps. He was a guy who led by example. We were trying to follow that example.
His death also sparked deeper conversations about colon cancer awareness, especially in younger people and Black communities where rates are rising. For many, his story became not just about loss, but about strength, secrecy, and dignity. In the aftermath, Hollywood honored him in multiple ways. His final performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom earned him widespread acclaim, including a Golden Globe Award and SAG Award for Best Actor. Many expected that the Academy Awards would follow suit. But as we'll see later, what happened at the Oscars would become one of the most debated moments in his legacy, a controversy that still stirs emotions to this day. The connection between Denzel Washington and Chadwick Boseman began long before either of them shared the screen or a production credit. Back in the late 1990s, Chadwick was a young student at Howard University, eager to grow as an actor. He and several classmates were accepted into a prestigious summer acting program at the British American Drama Academy in Oxford, England. The opportunity was life-changing, But there was a problem. Many of the students, including Chadwick, couldn't afford the tuition. At that moment, Howard professor and actress Phylicia Rashad stepped in. She encouraged the students to pursue the program and promised she would find a way. Quietly, she reached out to her industry contacts, and one of them was Denzel Washington. Without ever meeting Chadwick, Denzel paid for him and his classmates to attend. Years later, Chadwick would stand on stage and publicly thank Denzel for that gift. At the AFI Life Achievement Award tribute to Denzel in 2019, Chadwick declared, "There is no Black Panther without Denzel Washington, and not just because of me, but because of that gesture of giving." The audience erupted in applause. That moment cemented the deep respect and gratitude Boseman held for Washington.
Imagine receiving a letter that your tuition for that summer was paid for and that your benefactor was none other than the dopest actor on the planet. There is no Black Panther without Denzel Washington.
Their paths crossed again professionally decades later. Denzel was a producer on Ma Rainey's Black Bottom in 2020, Chadwick's final film. While on set, Washington noticed that Chadwick sometimes appeared weak or tired. But like everyone else, he did not know the reason. After Chadwick's death, Denzel admitted he had suspected something might be wrong, but out of respect, he never pressed. He later told People magazine, "He suffered quietly. He made the movie, and nobody knew. He never said a peep about it. He just did his job." When news broke of Boseman's passing in August 2020, Denzel released a heartfelt statement. He said, "He was a gentle soul and a brilliant artist who will stay with us for eternity through his iconic performances over his short yet illustrious career. God bless Chadwick Boseman." In later interviews, Denzel expressed not only grief but also awe at Chadwick's resilience. He admitted that seeing the final performance in Black Panther and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom moved him deeply, especially knowing what Chadwick endured behind the scenes. Washington described it as a revelation, a reminder of Chadwick's extraordinary professionalism and strength.
I cried a little bit when I saw Black Panther. I was on Broadway, in fact, and I went to the premiere, and I wasn't interested in the red carpet and all that, so I went backstage and I saw Chad.
This bond between the two actors became one of the most talked about parts of Chadwick's story. Fans often highlighted how poetic it was that Denzel's quiet generosity at the start of Chadwick's career had indirectly helped bring about the man who would become Black Panther, a global icon. And at the end, Denzel was once again tied to his journey, shepherding his last project into the world. After Chadwick Boseman's death in August 2020, his final performance in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom became the centerpiece of his legacy. Critics hailed it as his best work yet. He poured raw emotion and energy into the role of Levy, a troubled trumpet player, and the performance resonated even more once people learned he had filmed it while battling late-stage cancer. During the 2021 awards season, Boseman swept early honors. He won a Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama, which his wife gave an acceptance speech for.
He would say something beautiful, something inspiring, something that would amplify that little voice inside of all of us that tells you you can.
He also claimed the Screen Actors Guild Award and the Critics' Choice Award. With such momentum, the majority of fans and critics assumed the Academy Award for Best Actor was guaranteed. Many were convinced that not only was Boseman deserving, but that the Oscars would give him a posthumous award as a final honor. As the anticipation built, social media buzzed with theories. Some fans believed that the producers of the Oscars themselves expected Chadwick to win. For the first time in decades, the Best Actor award was placed as the final announcement of the night, a break from the usual tradition where Best Picture closes the ceremony. Many assumed this change was designed to create a powerful ending, with Boseman's widow accepting the award on his behalf. But when the envelope was opened, the winner was Anthony Hopkins for the father. Hopkins wasn't even present at the ceremony. The broadcast ended abruptly after the announcement, leaving viewers shocked. The internet exploded with outrage. Many called it a snub, claiming the Academy had failed to honor Boseman's legacy. The backlash was swift.
Very grateful to the Academy and thank you. And I want to pay tribute to Chadwick Boseman, who's taken from us far too early.
Fans flooded Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram with posts like, "He deserved better," and "They robbed Chadwick." Some even argued that his death had complicated the voting, with Academy members unsure how to weigh sympathy against performance. Others insisted that all evidence suggested the show was deliberately structured around his expected win, making the ending even more awkward. The controversy sparked discussions about the so-called Oscar curse. For years, Hollywood gossip had suggested that winning or losing an Academy Award could disrupt an actor's career, relationships, or even life. Some conspiracy-minded fans claimed that Boseman's tragic death and the snubbed Oscar win somehow tied into that long-standing narrative. Reality, of course, is more complicated. A 2015 Cornell study found little evidence for the idea that Oscars ruin careers. Still, the curse persisted as a story fans latched onto, especially in moments like Boseman's. To many, it felt like another cruel twist of fate that after giving everything to his art, he didn't get the recognition many thought he deserved on Hollywood's biggest stage. Boseman's family, however, took a more measured view. His brother Derek Boseman publicly said that Chadwick never saw awards as the ultimate goal, and that he would have congratulated Anthony Hopkins. Hopkins himself later honored Boseman in his acceptance video, saying he felt humbled and saddened by his passing. Still, the controversy remains one of the most debated chapters of Boseman's legacy, and the Oscars' handling of that night is remembered as one of its most criticized endings in recent history. In the days and weeks after Chadwick Boseman's passing, the world came together in grief. Social media timelines were flooded with black and white portraits, Wakanda salutes, and heartfelt stories of what his work meant. Unlike many celebrity deaths that pass quickly in the news cycle, Boseman's impact felt global and deeply personal. Major landmarks paid tribute. The Howard University clock tower lit up in his honor, while Disney added a new Marvel Studios opening montage showcasing his role as Black Panther. In New York, murals of Boseman appeared overnight on city walls.
Our nightcap tonight goes to the late, great Chadwick Boseman. Howard University, his alma mater, is hosting a two-day celebration of his life and his artistic legacy. So this afternoon, current students and alums packed an auditorium at the college that bears his name.
Across Africa, fans held screenings of Black Panther, treating the film as both entertainment and a cultural milestone. Celebrities also poured out tributes. Michael B. Jordan, his co-star and on-screen rival in Black Panther, wrote, "I wish we had more time."
You know, weighs on me also. I'm not turning this into a therapy session, but nah, man, it's Chadwick is special. I was looking forward to just.
Lupita Nyong'o described him as someone who made the most of every moment. Even former U.S. President Barack Obama shared a tribute, recalling how Boseman had visited the White House and inspired young people with his grace and humility. But perhaps the most moving tributes came from children. Parents shared viral photos of kids holding funerals for their Black Panther action figures. Young boys and girls staged toy memorials with Iron Man, Captain America, and Spider-Man standing over T'Challa's grave. These small, heartbreaking acts showed how much Boseman had meant to the next generation, not just as an actor, but as a symbol. Beyond Marvel, Chadwick's legacy grew into something larger. His choice to keep his illness private while continuing to work sparked new conversations about dignity, perseverance, and purpose. Many noted how he used his final years to portray historical black icons like Jackie Robinson, James Brown, and Thurgood Marshall, as if he knew he had a limited time and wanted to leave behind a full tapestry of representation. Howard University, his alma mater, renamed its College of Fine Arts after him, ensuring that future artists would carry his name forward. The university also announced new scholarships in his honor. At the 2021 Academy Awards, while the controversy over his loss lingered, Boseman was still remembered during the In Memoriam segment, and his face filled the screen as music swelled. For fans, however, the cultural legacy lived less in awards and more in what Boseman represented. To many, he embodied the phrase, "representation matters." His portrayal of a confident African king in Black Panther shifted Hollywood's perception of black superheroes and opened doors for bigger, more inclusive storytelling. Even today, the Wakanda Forever salute remains a cultural gesture tied to him. It has appeared at protests, graduations, sports events, and even funerals. It became shorthand for resilience, pride, and unity. Chadwick Boseman's death was untimely, but his influence continues to shape both cinema and culture. He left behind a legacy of integrity, purpose, and excellence that no Oscar or award controversy could ever overshadow. After Chadwick Boseman's death, one of the biggest questions hanging over Hollywood was, what happens to Black Panther? The role of T'Challa was central to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and fans were divided over whether the character should be recast or retired.
Opened with a send-off to T'Challa, but a funeral flaked by the heroes whom T'Challa always fought alongside, allowing them to drop Thanos into his kingdom and kill his country.
Marvel Studios made their position clear. In December 2020, studio president Kevin Feige announced that Chadwick's role as T'Challa would not be recast. Instead, the sequel would focus on other characters from Wakanda, expanding the world he helped bring to life. Feige said, Chadwick Boseman was an immensely talented actor and an inspiring person who affected all our lives. To honor his legacy, we will not recast the character. This decision led to the creation of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, released in 2022. The film dealt directly with the loss of T'Challa, opening with an emotional funeral sequence. Real-life grief was mirrored on screen as Wakanda mourned the loss of its king. For many viewers, this felt less like fiction and more like closure, as actors processed their own pain in front of the world. The sequel shifted its focus to Shuri, T'Challa's sister, played by Letitia Wright. She wrestled with grief, responsibility, and identity, the themes that echoed what fans themselves were feeling after Boseman's passing. Other characters, including Queen Ramonda, played by Angela Bassett, Okoye as Danai Gurira, and Nakia as Lupita Nyong'o, carried more weight as the story explored Wakanda's resilience without its king. The film also paid tribute in subtle and powerful ways. The Marvel Studios logo featured only Boseman's image, played in silence. This single moment in the theater left audiences quiet, many holding back tears. Later, the story showed Shuri designing her own Black Panther suit, passing on the mantle while keeping T'Challa's memory alive. But not everyone agreed with Marvel's choice. Some fans argued that T'Challa should have been recast, believing that the character was bigger than one actor and essential to black representation in blockbuster cinema. Others countered that Boseman's portrayal was irreplaceable, and any attempt to continue with a new actor would feel disrespectful.
Now fans are coming out and saying, hey, we should recast T'Challa since they're going to recast Jonathan Majors. And yes, obviously there's a major difference. One guy is dead and the other guy was fired for domestic.
The debate tied back to the ongoing conversation about legacy, representation, and Hollywood's handling of black icons. In many ways, the discussion itself was proof of how significant Boseman's role had been. Few superhero roles generate this kind of cultural weight. In the end, Wakanda Forever grossed over $800 million worldwide. proving that the story could move forward while still honoring the man who had defined it. The movie closed with Shuri sitting in silence by the ocean, remembering her brother. It was a quiet, reflective scene, much like the way fans continue to remember Chadwick. For Marvel, the future of Wakanda is still open, with spin-offs and new characters planned. But for audiences, Chadwick Boseman remains the original Black Panther, the face of a cultural revolution. His absence is felt, yet his spirit continues to guide the franchise.